All right, looks like we're all here. Let's call the meeting to order at 6:01, August 13th, 2025. Going down the roll call list, alphabetical by last name, please notify your presence. Kayla.
Here.
Fred.
Here.
Nora.
Here.
Myself present. Dusty.
Here.
Melissa.
Here.
And Patrick.
Here.
Were there any changes to our agenda this evening?
No.
There is on a report a word that, or a line that needs to be taken out on the community engagement report because it needed more context to make sense. Is that the time to change it on the reports made at that time?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. The line, I'm not gonna be able to call it up on here. Under report for our meeting, goes into several items, and then there's a line that states, let's see. Change after landing. We meet to determine a course of action. That was a line taken out of some other things that we were talking about those, Louise. It doesn't make, it probably has to be just struck. That line is probably the simplest way to do it.
Okay.
Because there's more text to it than that.
Okay. And we can touch on that again when we get to it as well. I'll remind everyone. Anything else?
Was there a missing attachment for the last report cover page?
Last report cover page.
Draft budget review? Or is that just referencing the typical financial statements?
Oh my lordy lord. No, it wasn't. It didn't get it uploaded right. I can upload it right now so then we can all look at it together, if that would work for folks too. I don't know why it didn't get uploaded. It's extremely frustrating. All right. As you guys go about some of the initial stuff, I'll put it on there so at least people can have it to be able to look at it as well. And we can talk through it at the end as well, so my apologies for that.
Thank you. Doesn't seem like there's any changes to the agenda, so we need a motion to approve, please.
I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. Brings us to C, approval of minutes from last month's meeting. Any notes from the commission? I will say at F1, the bottom of the page, the Sexton's Lodge financial support paragraph, it does say the HPC purchasing someone to be installed. I'm guessing we can say something or some system or paying someone to install something. We're not purchasing people. There was also nothing about that topic in the agenda for this evening, which I thought was odd.
Yeah. Bear with me momentarily while I try to... I can address that. I just want to get this budget put in there.
Any other comments on the minutes? All right, motion to approve as amended, please.
Motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Thank you. Which brings us to our public comments section. Pam is the only one in the audience tonight, as per usual.
Couple quick things. About a year ago, I wrote an article.
I don't know if we can hear you.
Might be either your button or
Oh.
the podium is.
Green? Green is
Testing.
good?
There we go.
Okie dokie. About a year ago, I wrote an article on the history of this City Hall building, and it has been accepted by Encore Magazine, and it's going to be published next month, which is the 94th birthday of the building. So it's called City Hall at 94, I believe, unless they changed the title. And one other thing, just to posit with you now for when you come to the community engagement report, is the letter that we got in the packet the one that we combined during our meeting? I wasn't sure. And so I'll just leave that with you and you can talk about it then. Thank you.
Was that in the last packet?
The letter that was in this one is the letter that was in the last packet.
Oh, this one. No. I didn't see it in the packet. Oh, apparently I downloaded it too early. Mine's missing 2 pages.
Okay, if people go on to the website now, you should be able to see the one that has the agenda in there. Again, apologies for that. I don't know why it didn't upload, but it is in there now. Okay. Are we at financial reports?
We are,
Awesome.
unless there were previously submitted comments.
I do not have any. Of course, I'm waiting for my computer to load things. There is not any substantive changes from the last time that we met. Speaking with some of the folks on the finance team at the city, kind of brought up some of the things that you guys had brought up before regarding payments for conferences, lodging, et cetera. I think that these were just snafus that were happening in essentially in translation of me asking for things to get paid and them getting paid for. So, moving forward, some of those things are going to be coming out of the planning budget instead of out of our budget, which I think is a nice burden to have taken off our shoulders. I think that they're going to amend the budget too to up the price for some of the membership things that we talked about in the past as well. Struggle a little bit because when we look at the price to get everyone covered, I want to make sure that we're not having any superfluous spending, right? So while I want to make sure that both commissions are completely covered for all these memberships, I find it very rare that both commissions fully use the memberships that they've been given, right? So the full price to pay for NTHP, I think that's the acronym, right? Okay, NTHP and for the MHPN is $500, $195 for NTHP, and then $150 for the MHPN, but the $150 only covers 10 people. We have 2 commissions, obviously, so 10 people is not going to cut it. I think we'll see when we get to the budget that I need to update the costs and stuff, but right now I'd be comfortable with just paying for those base things. 125 for the NTHP, and then 150 for the MHPN. We can talk about that when we get to budget, but I just wanted to talk about it here as well, because I know it had come up previously in some of these expenditure reports when we were looking at them. Not too much else to report on the budget things. At this point, I think that you're gonna see there's a lot of numbers that you'll see if we pop down to the expenditure report underneath budgeting things. That 25 grand number is gonna come up. That's the placeholder for the money that we said that we could pull over. We have not pulled 25 grand over. It's just how the books have to look.
Any other questions or comments on the financial reports? Okay. Moving on for now then. Brings us to the O'Connor Fund report as submitted by Pam. Approach.
An update from the 8/4/25 update. Luis and I talked about the responses that we got from the Community Foundation and sent another round of questions, and we kind of summarized everything that we had addressed already. And in the process of doing that, we came up with a couple of more questions, which we returned to them on the 6th. And on Friday last week, we got a response saying that they were working on it and they would get back to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Trust that people have had time to read Pam's report. You know, if you have questions, you can ask now. When we look at the numbers for the O'Connor Fund for August, when I spoke with Pam, she brought this up to me too, but there's quite an uptick in the net assets that we had. So in O'Connor 1, you can see that the August number is $74,496.70, which is up from $71,598 in July. Excuse me, and the Ocon 2 is $476,901.29, which is up. I think that the numbers are so much bigger, they look very, very large, but I think the percentages track pretty closely for O'Connor 1 and O'Connor 2, but that's up from $458,489.30. You know, it's like an $18,000 increase, which I think is awesome to see in the month.
And I signed the grant paperwork. Is there any update on that front?
No, so I mean, they can go ahead and get started on the work. I spoke with them. Matt Klaus called me as well, asking questions about if anything needed to go to the or if it needed any historic review. I told them no. I think that they're still navigating things with SHPO to try to make sure that they are going to get their tax credit. The question of some of the paints that they were going to use, I think, came into question, but I think that they're probably still working to navigate through that and make the project a reality. There's nothing that I saw that needed historic review in any capacity, though, from the local historic district level, so I think that that's good for them and good for the project so it can get moving forward and get them to completion of that project.
And that's mainly because it's just repair work, not changes?
Repair work and just maintenance, yeah, is largely what it is. The issue that comes into question, I think a lot of the times the biggest issue I think that's coming into question is at the rear of the property, there's a portion of the building that had not been exposed for, you know, a long time because there's another church abutting it. Now that that's gone, what do we do with that and how do we tangle with that? I think I said this to Pam and I said it to Matt when I was on the phone too. If this was another property in a historic district like this one is, and we had a case where a building was butting up to that one, and there was some unpainted masonry, it really poses the practical question of what do you do? And I think that to maintain the uniformity, obviously covering that in some capacity is the best thing that you can do. To make sure that to make sure the entire envelope of the building is acting uniformly with how it interacts with the weather, and then aesthetically too, it just makes the most sense to probably code it to match the rest of the building.
Yeah, that brings us to number 3, the encouraging community-wide engagement report. Any subcommittee members want to speak on that?
I can just say that what Fred was saying was underneath 3, after landing, we meet to determine the next course of action. You know,
We were making a fishing analogy.
there was an analogy that I removed, but I think that just saying, you know, once we start to talk to folks and we start to realize, like, landing is also a useful word here anyways, but once we make contact with folks and they let us know that they would like our help in some capacity, what do we do next and how do we start to move forward was the intent of the point underneath number 3, just for clarification's sake, and then I can pass it off to the folks who are in that subcommittee if they want to speak about this.
That was the context of what we're talking about. And I think it's a good idea. I know in the past I was on it's formerly known as DEI. I went to groups and met with them and stuff, and it just seemed to be running up and not getting past meeting them and having something fruitful come out of the meeting. Them coming to us makes more sense at this point to me than us searching them out. The meeting went through 2 letters of introducing what we are about in community engagement, and a third was crafted, and I haven't looked. Is that the edit that's showing on here? Is the third?
No, it's the one that Pam wrote.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one that you sent in, does that show up anywhere?
No.
For us all to look at?
So Patrick, I did not see yours.
Okay, yeah, I sent it to the subcommittee. I don't think that got it to you. Okay.
Okay.
I will send that out then.
And that's not an issue. And then Nora did put together, I don't know what it was, Google Drive or what it was, Google Docs, whatever. If you guys want to put it in there, that'd be great. Can also look into making like an HPC email address, I guess, for myself. The volume of stuff that I get, and then when we have threads with multiple iterations, especially with the document and version control, just makes it really tricky for me to stay on top of stuff sometimes. And then I know that we're all being mindful too of avoiding discussing things that go above quorum outside. So all of those things I think play against us a little bit when we're trying to make sure that we have the correct documents that are getting sent over. So just putting that out there as well.
So that was what I thought we would have, is that, look at that as a committee here and see what the thoughts were on the third edition of the letter. I guess we could send it to everybody. Would that be an appropriate way to have all the eyes look at it and to see what your thoughts are about the letter going out? Okay.
I could do that now if that's,
Yeah, it ends.
If you like BCC'd it, we just cannot be talking. I mean, we're all here now, so we could talk about it if folks wanted to read it and then talk about it now.
yep. Yes, this will just take me a minute.
Yep, not a problem at all. I had my own take a minute thing earlier.
Are you merging it onto the report here? Is that what you're doing, Patrick?
No, I'll just email it.
Oh,
And since
okay.
most of us have a device here, then we should be able to do that.
So have you done any of those tours yet?
I have not done any yet of City Hall tours, no, but the idea was warmly received, it sounds like, which, who would turn down a tour of a building, right? But I've not done, I haven't been invited to do any yet, so. Patrick, once you get it sent, I can read it aloud.
Okay, just sent it to Luis and BCC'd everyone else.
So we can all talk about it here, but please do not engage in that thread, once we leave this meeting.
It's BCC'd, so it should be okay.
All right. This is the letter put forward by the subcommittee for the consideration of the full commission, which I will read now. Hello, we are the Kalamazoo Historic Preservation Commission. As a volunteer commission appointed by the City Commission, we meet once a month to discuss and support historic preservation issues in the city. Our mission is to preserve Kalamazoo's historic resources through advocacy of effective preservation practices, public education, and research compilation, publication, and maintenance of historic resource inventories. And I probably fumbled one of the commas in there, my apologies. We believe that all of these goals are made possible through essential community engagement and involvement. Within the city, we see historic preservation's benefits and would love to hear from your organization about how we can help you do historic preservation. Quotes around do. Kalamazoo Historic Preservation Commission published 3 books, and then there's a list of bullet points. The KHPC published 3 books on Kalamazoo's architectural history, which all can be seen on the Kalamazoo Public Library's website, URL for the website to pages from the past. With our local public media network and the Kalamazoo Public Library, architectural style and home repair videos for homeowners were created. Old House Owners Workshops, Oh How videos can be viewed on KPL's website, and then the URL is provided for that. The Kalamazoo Historic Preservation Commission offers grant opportunities to qualifying 501c3 nonprofits through its O'Connor Fund/competitive grant program for exterior building rehabilitation and preservation planning. Qualifying nonprofits are invited to a pre-application grant writing workshop to prepare their applications before each annual grant cycle. Occasional gifts for projects not covered in the grant program are also covered through the O'Connor Fund. In the past 5 years, the KHPC and the O'Connor Fund has awarded gifts and grants valued at over $55,000 for Kalamazoo's historic buildings and places, including emergency building repairs, masonry and roof work, and the upcoming historical markers in Bronson Park near the mound. The Kalamazoo Historic Preservation Commission honors excellent preservation efforts in the city with annual public awards, The KHPC meets at City Hall on the second Wednesday of each month at 6 p.m. If you have an idea about how the KHPC can help your preservation work, please reach out by attending a meeting or emailing our Kalamazoo Historic Preservation Coordinator, Luis Pena, at penaL@kamazooCity.org. We look forward to growing our work in the city through connecting with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick, for getting that out so fast.
Yep. The only word that I would scratch out of there is I don't think that we're allowed to use the word advocacy in any capacity. And that's just from the legal team. I think that we can keep the spirit of that just through the use of a different word, right? By saying like through the use of effective preservation practices or through exercising effective preservation practices, or there's some synonym that I'm sure that we can use in the place of advocacy, but just so we avoid the word advocacy. But otherwise, I think that this is a good letter. Do other folks have thoughts?
There seemed to be some, Pam's got a question there.
Yes.
There was a I asked at the end of our last meeting to have an additional sentence added at the end of the first paragraph that made for a better flow from paragraph 1 to paragraph 2.
Part of the issue is if we do anything more, we're going to be over a page. And really like this to have be one page. I guess if we cut down font size, maybe that would be something that could help. Yeah. Yeah, I think we do need to have something that's like, here's some examples of things we've done or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
And I appreciate you trying to keep it to one page
Yes.
for just practical purposes.
Nobody wants to turn a page, so.
No, and then it just makes the printing a real pain in the butt sometimes
Exactly.
too.
Do you have any sort of, if we're going to be printing this on some sort of letterhead and guidelines on margins and stuff like that, so we can make sure that it will fit on one page?
I can send you like blank letterhead or something. I can send you some measurements. I think that reading the such a futile effort. It's almost just not. But I can get some kind of mock-up and block it out for you, and then I think that we can blow these margins way out almost to the edge, right? Because
Yeah, it can be to the edge of the margin. I just didn't want to run into like a
yep.
header or footer or something like
Yep,
that.
I appreciate that. So we only do have headers that I use. Mine is pretty standard. Like if you look at any press release, it's going to look almost exactly the same to my letterhead. And then if we want to have the address block on there too, that'll take up a little bit of space when we're sending them out. I think that's what that's called. I don't write a lot of letters, so.
Is there a line or two of redundancy in it that we could maybe carve something out of? Wouldn't have to be redundant on it. When you started, when you read it out loud, it sounded like some words were.
Yeah, we talked about this, Fred, where we have commission 3 times in the first like 3 lines, and that seems like a lot, but it's been really hard to try to.
You can't
at least-
strike that.
Yeah.
And then there was another word in the first line or two that seemed like was repetitive, but.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pam. No, I did not. I will do that right now. Yep.
So I think that I was saying Kalamazoo Historic Preservation Commission out, so it probably sounded clunkier. I wasn't saying KHPC every time that it was coming up is one thing to consider, Fred. I was not using the acronym, but it's written as the acronym in the letter. So that is one thing to consider. Yep. Like Patrick was just saying, I think some of the other ones are kind of unavoidable, right? This is a volunteer commission, and we are appointed by the city commission, and this is the Historic Preservation Commission. So, I mean, yes, it's used a lot. I'm sure that there's some creative way around it, but I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. You could change the first period to a comma and just say, we are the Kalamazoo Historic Preservation Commission, a volunteer group, I guess, but it doesn't have the same oomph necessarily after we just called ourselves a commission. You could say that.
I think that last sentence in the first paragraph could be tightened up a little bit with, within the city, we see historic preservation's benefits and would love to hear from your organization about how we can help your efforts. That would cut off some of the repetition. Some resources are listed below. And then you go into the flow of the next paragraph. It doesn't add too many more words, and it's just to keep you on one page.
So what's the goal for sending these out? Like when?
I'm sorry, Kyle, what'd you say?
When are we looking to send these out?
I'm sorry, I still didn't hear you. I guess the volume's going out that way.
Just wondering when we were going to be sending these out, potentially.
Oh, was hoping to get past that stage tonight and then get it to where it'd be ready to be sent out.
Yeah, and I'll leave that up to you guys to be the ones that are calling the shots on when we want to hit these timetables, right? Whenever you guys want to, I can get them put out, the following week.
Well, we could talk about it at our next meeting.
That puts us out a month, obviously. So, I mean, if you guys think that that's what you guys want to do.
I had a question about, do we need to explain what the mound is? As someone who's not a native to Kalamazoo, and I know there's a mound, but in the paragraph talking about that, it says, putting the upcoming historical markers in Bronson Park near the mound. I wouldn't know what that is. Do we need to say something about a little more description? I think it's just called the Bronson Park Mound, so we can't really repeat that necessarily, but I personally wouldn't know what that is. But I'm not from here, so.
Trying to think of a condensed way to say that.
Kayla, there
Native American, native-
suggestions from the tribal perspective?
I mean, not really with the space issue. I feel like I'd have to see it like within the Word doc since I'm just on my phone.
Ceremonial mound?
I think we should not try to, I don't think we should try to make a lot of changes here at the meeting tonight.
Okay.
It would be great, if I may suggest, it would be great if, once we get done tweaking and trying to tighten it up a little bit, if it was input at that time and we all have a chance to think about it.
Sure, yeah.
I think substantively the letter looks good. If we have small
Oh, yeah.
other tweaks, the subcommittee can go back and make those. They can send them to me. I will defer to you guys, and I trust your guys' judgment on what you're writing. If there are more tweaks that you want to make, write them up and then send them to me. And then if you guys have a target date for when you want us to get them sent out by, let me know too. And, I'll get that taken care of at the office.
Okay, I'll send out a email about when we can try to meet before next month. And also the list would be something we could work on at the next meeting too. We had an initial list Nora worked up for us, and then Pam had indicated there was a list that Luis and Pam put together, quite extensive for the grant writing process. Like 300 groups were in that list.
So those are all nonprofits, though, in the city of Kalamazoo. So that's the distinction that we would need to make. I think when we look at the way that the data is structured online, too, things like nonprofit status have very real ramifications in an assessing system. So it's something easy to pluck out and be able to say, okay, this is a nonprofit. We obviously don't. There's nothing that would code them in our system to say whether or not they were focused on minority issues, though. So that's where you'd have to have the human hand to be able to come in and parse through the list like Nora did. And do you recall off the top of your head? I know we've discussed it about how many people are on that list. Rough. Okay. Okay. I think at the end of the day, I mean, we're not going to send this out to all 300 contacts, obviously, that we have on the list. If we miss folks, to err is human. So I think that we could do this on a yearly basis, right? So if we did miss folks and they heard about it, we could include them on the next round, right? I don't think that there might not be a way for us to get a completely encompassing list, especially if some of these groups don't have a presence online or something like that, where we would not be able to capture them, right? So if we also wanted to promote it in a different capacity through word of mouth or other avenues as well, we could certainly do that too. But I guess I would not fret so much because there's not a way for us to comb the data like we did for the nonprofits, that if, again, I trust the work that Nora did, so if you went through and found these under 30 groups, I think that that might be what we start off with to get the letter sent out to. I think that's a fair exercise.
What's important is that we're trying to reach out.
Yes.
Anything more on this report? Pam?
Will you come to the microphone? I'm sorry, Pam. Sorry, I didn't ask you before.
At the risk of trying to do committee work in front of the commission, I would just add that it wasn't, in sharing that list with this group, the community engagement group, it wasn't my intent that we would pick everyone and send everyone a letter, but that we would review it for neighborhood associations and things like that that were not present in Nora's first list, and maybe some others, I don't know. But I also think that before we send a letter out, the committee better decide how it's going to respond to any requests that come in and have a list of things that we can do and where to direct people to help them do it on their own. Because if we start getting calls and Luis doesn't have a playlist, if you will, it might get out of hand very quickly.
That's what I was kind of driving at.
Yeah.
On what do we do next? Yeah,
Let's talk about it in the meeting.
okay.
And then bring it back next month. That would be my suggestion.
And again, I think that this is a perfect example of the way that subcommittees function within the overall commission as well. So these reports are great. I think that right now, if everyone can say that they're comfortable substantively with the letter, right? Like everything that's in the letter, it seems like it's appropriate. We need to make some minor tweaks. You guys, I think that the commission could, right now, I think it would be safe to say like, hey, you guys have our blessings to make those minor tweaks, and then we can get the ball rolling with that. We don't need to necessarily wait until next month to approve the letter, and then the subcommittee in the interim can meet and say like, hey, here's what we want to do as a next step. Does that sound like a fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does to me.
All right. Next on the list is the City Hall Local Historic District Report.
Assume that everyone read Pam's report. I don't know if Pam, if you have any other context to provide. Okay. I do, because I got reached out to today by the communications team. I think SHPO must have put out a press release today saying who the awardees were of CLG grants, and we were on that list. And I wasn't even on the mailing list, so I couldn't believe it. I need to get put on the mailing list. I got alerted, I guess, anyways. And then MLive also picked up the article, and so did WWMT. So they both published an article saying that City Hall was one of the recipients of CLG funds to assess City Hall, as the first step in trying to address some of the damage right on City Hall. So I thought that was really cool, and it does tie back in with everything. I would say that I think it's really important to understand the reciprocity of grants as well, right? So not only do we get to use to fix things up, and just getting money in general is really great, I think. We also get to shine a light on the CLG program and SHPO to show that they're doing a lot of work, $250,000 of work in the state of Michigan to help out communities. That reciprocity, I think, is also apparent in the O'Connor Fund, but that's really important for grant work because it highlights not only the people doing the work, but also the granting agency. So I was really pleased by that. Go to MLive or WWMT if you guys want to see those articles. The WWMT article I have up on my computer right now, federal grant, which I think needs to be addressed. I can talk to them. Boost preservation efforts in West Michigan communities with $250,000 of funding. If it's CLG stuff, I don't know. I don't think that comes from the feds, but I guess I could be wrong. I think that's state funded, so. I'm not sure of all the funnels of funding mechanisms, but it was just cool to see, I guess, and I was happy to see that. So I'm glad that we're getting that ball rolling.
And is there any word back yet from Rebecca Kick since our meeting?
I don't think so.
Right. Then the next report is the work plan request as submitted by Pam. Sort of a summary of what we established at our last planning session of our goals and what we need to do to accomplish them, and trying to assign timetables and responsibilities to those as sort of a format for our next planning session as well.
So the second document is probably a lot more useful to read first because it outlines the table that Pam submitted. Apologies for the flip-flop in the order on those. I'm just going to jump to the end of that document, notes work plan framework. There's a paragraph that's bolded, recommended action. The KHPC members agree to review this document in sample spreadsheets prior to the September meeting for further conversations and possible adoption for later implementation at its next work plan meeting. Pam, if you have any comments that you want to say, feel free to, to say those as well. And then happy to hear from the commission about what they think. Resounding silence, which is always so good because that means everyone completely understands. That's just what they used to say in school.
Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah, couple questions, Pam, just about some of the wording. And sorry, I didn't ask you before. When you say adoption for later implementation, do you mean implementation of a planning session or implementation of, I guess a planning session and adoption of a plan would almost be part and parcel. So I just wanted to know what you. If I was misunderstanding, perhaps.
What I meant to say there was that the plan should be made by that time.
Okay.
So that it is in place for the budgeting process.
Yes.
For the city.
Okay. So I think that is a really good point to bring up too. This year, I got the draft budget to you guys a month later than last year. I think that's just timing with things and how they went, but Pam is very right that we should be looking at the budget along with our work plan, so we can obviously make them in tandem. They go hand in hand, the work that we're doing and the budget that we have available to us. So making this a reoccurrence, I'm guessing, is what you're saying, that happens before June/July of each year.
Yeah.
In perpetuity would be really important for us. So I do concur with that. I think that we could use this kind of framework that you laid out for us, though, for this upcoming plan for 26 too. Before then, if we wanted to look at a plan before then as well.
That's entirely up to the commission. It was meant as a suggestion and a guide from somebody who's been where you are on a few occasions and have found that this kind of a format works really well. And when you walk out of that meeting, you have an idea of what you're going to be expected to do if you have agreed to take on part of a project or be part of a subcommittee. And, the part that I liked the best was crossing stuff off when we got it done. It makes you feel good. And it's a reason to talk about it and put it in the annual report. If you have any questions, let me know, but otherwise I'll sit down.
Thank you, Pam.
In discussing it, I brought up how Louis, I don't know if it was the last planning session or the one before, but you had that document about setting SMART goals and how we just want to be focused and actually get things done instead of having such a broad scope.
Yes. That might have been like my second year. So it feels like eons ago now. But, we can bring that kind of stuff out again. And I think that the framework that Pam has, and I say this a lot, and it might sound silly and stuff, but it is really important for a commission and a volunteer commission to be able to pat themselves on the back and say that we did these things. I think it's good for morale. Psychologically, it's good to show that we're making progress and that we're not remaining stagnant in any capacity. Either equally as important or more important than that too, as Pam just highlighted, it gives us an opportunity to relay to the city commission in our annual report what was done by this commission over a year. I think we all know that a year probably speeds by faster than we think is possible, and you look back and it's like, oh my gosh, where did the year go? If we can have a collection of those things that we did and we got done, it's a great thing to be able to show the city commission and then, by extension, the entire community. Here's what the Historic Preservation Commission did. And I think we do a lot of great stuff. Having more and more structure is probably going to be better and better for us. And structure does not necessarily have to be stifling. And I think that this chart would be a really great way for us to continue building that structure and having focused goals with attainable things. That was in that planning session, Kyle, that first one. We slashed a lot of things that I think we realized were not attainable, right? They were things that were far beyond our reach, and being honest with ourselves is very important as a volunteer group as well, to understand what can we and can we not do. Yes, was I like wildly off base with that last diatribe?
No,
Okay.
no, not at all. But it did make me realize that if you have goals that you want to accomplish and rightfully should be in a plan, I hope you will all remember that it doesn't mean that you all have to go out and do all of the work. For example, a historic calendar. We have historians in Kalamazoo that we could pay to do that, to help create an income stream for the future. Someone who would do the research, maybe even do some of the writing. And we would direct the project rather than actually do the project. That's part of what the O'Connor Fund is there for. So, thank you.
And then financial smarts obviously come into that too. We would be able to pay someone probably wouldn't be giving anyone points on a calendar, but we'd be able to pay them one time and then we'd be making the royalties back off of that essentially once we started to sell it, right? It's not shortchanging anyone in my opinion either, but points like that Pam made, I think might feel like thinking out of the box right now, but hopefully they become second nature at some point too, because those are really great ways for us to hopefully get that revenue stream coming back in. We're the only ones concerned, I think, with that. It's a great way to share the history with the community too, which I think is the most important thing. People usually go nuts for stuff like that. I don't see us writing another Lost and Found anytime soon, but I think that Pam shrugged her shoulders. I'll talk to you after the meeting, we'll see if you're ready to write another book.
But I do want to say that all three of the books that have been published by this commission before were not written by the commission. They were all written by professionals doing the job on behalf of the commission. So.
And people eat that stuff up. So I think, not only do they eat it up, but it's a great way for them to be able to connect with the city. And I say eat it up, not in a derogatory sense at all, because I loved them. Before I got this gig, those are things that I would pore over kind of obsessively. So, yeah, it's kind of a win-win if we can do that kind of stuff and if we can think about ways to do it where we're not taxing ourselves mentally, physically, to the point where we have commissioners quitting or anything. There are other ways to have other people kind of do the work for us, and they will be duly compensated as well.
Well, while we're on the subject, is that subcommittee going to meet, since we haven't had any reports about this?
That was an idea I had, and I just threw it out there, and then life happened, and here we are. So, if someone else wants to take that over, go for it. But it does kind of sound like we need to be scheduling our next work plan meeting for 2026.
Yeah, so when is city budget stuff due? We're trying to coordinate in that timeline.
Formally and finally, like I have a draft to show you guys today that we'll look over, but formally and finally, the budgets are due October 27. Which, I mean, gives us a couple of options. More than a couple, I think, actually. Could have 2 meetings in 1 month if we wanted to, a regular business meeting and a work plan meeting, which I know, well, we can gauge interest now. We can cancel one of the monthly meetings in lieu and just have the workshop meeting in lieu of that meeting. I guess those are the 2 viable options.
What was the first one again?
Have 2 meetings in a month. We are not going to do a work plan meeting and a regular meeting in the same evening because of how mentally fatiguing it is. And people have lives and things they need to get to back at home. And if we get in here at 6, you know, this meeting is already going to 6:53. And I know that our planning sessions in the past have gone for a while. So I don't want to keep you guys here till 10 p.m. I don't want to be here till 10 p.m. I guess is what I'll say. I'll be honest.
Do you want to vote on that now, or?
Vote on not being here until 10 p.m. Seconded.
I think, again, I've found that it doesn't necessarily work when I put you guys on the spot to try to figure out something like this, but I think we can at least float the question of what do you guys, you know, perfect world, what would you prefer? 2 meetings in 1 month, 1 regular business meeting, 1 for a workshop meeting, or would you rather just have the workshop meeting in lieu of a regular business meeting?
I'm with the second, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm fine with a second meeting.
With 2 in 1 month?
Yeah.
I'm for one, the second option. I'm for in lieu of the KHPC meeting to work plan meeting.
So we're split right now.
Split. Yep, need more.
With input from 2 people.
Yeah.
You're the tie-breaking vote. I guess there's more people.
1, 2, 3, 4. 5,
I'm
7.
fine with doing 2 meetings, but I know my work schedule is a little bit inconvenient because I work Monday through Wednesday usually in the evening, or like at least until 7. I leave work early for this, so
Okay, well, thank you, first of all, yeah.
just putting that out there. Yeah, well, you're welcome.
I think we've done it both ways before, so
We
whatever,
certainly have.
whatever works is fine by me.
What was that?
I said I think you should have an opinion, one way or the other.
Anybody else?
I'm fine with the 2 meetings, but I could be in Kyle's camp. And say I could go either direction, but 2 is my harder preference, I guess.
Okay. I'm not going to push people, obviously, to tell me right now, I guess.
Then
I see the merits of both, I guess. I don't want to have to call people out, and people have other schedules. I also don't think, I mean, this is the one meeting that I would like to have perfect attendance for, is what I'll say as well, right? So that says volumes. I think to me, if we can have everyone at this meeting, I'll leave that out there. Looking at the calendar right now, you know, our September meeting would be held on the 10th. Yes, the 10th of September. The October meeting would be the 15th. Probably want to try to get it done ahead of October, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I know I have to be traveling for work during this meeting next month, so we probably, if we want perfect attendance for that, I won't be here.
Okay.
Is our October meeting the 8th or the 15th?
It's a great call. I could have misread the year. I'm sorry. It's the 8th.
Okay.
And then also, are we planning for planning where we're hiring a facilitator of some sort?
So, and I guess to like, we are visiting this right now and it's July, and we know that we need to do it in before October, right? I guess if we don't necessarily get a facilitator, I'm sorry, yeah. If we don't get a facilitator this year, we need to be flexible, obviously. We got it now. We can plan for this for next year if we want to hire a professional facilitator. The biggest thing to me right now is that we have the attendance where everyone has a voice to be able to input on the work plan, right? We know that we're not going to get that in September on the normal meeting date.
It's also on your shoulders. If you don't want to have 2 meetings, don't have 2 meetings.
No, and I don't, I mean, this is my gig. So, I mean, I'm happy to come to 2 if you guys want to do 2. I'm just trying to think about, like, next month on the normal date, it's not going to happen regardless. I know that to be a firm fact, right? I guess if everyone, you know, can email me. This is the only way I know how to do it, I guess, because not everyone, and I am completely this way too, to be put on the spot. October is cutting it pretty close, but it doesn't, at the end of the day, we just need to have the budget in by the 27th. So if we get it in by the 27th, we get it in by the 27th. If we wanted to hold it on the regular meeting, does anyone think that they'd be absent from the October 8th meeting?
Would that be the work plan meeting or the?
That's what I'm trying to ascertain right now, is that if no one would be absent from it, we could just do it in lieu of that meeting in October.
I'm back on the 6th. So I'm back.
Okay.
I might be absent. I have to verify. I might be in a rehearsal, so I
Okay.
have to verify if I can not be in that, but I suspect I can't. I'm not sure, so let me get back to you on that schedule.
So we're not going to make any decisions tonight, I guess. By the end of this week, I want everyone to email me their preference about what they would like to have, 2 meetings or 1 meeting for the month. And then I guess if everyone can send me their availabilities for Wednesdays throughout the months of September and October. I don't want to hold that meeting in this room. It's not very conducive to being able to sit around a table and look at things. Pam, that means you as well for your availability. If you can just send me a note by the end of the week too, so we can all be on the same page.
Could you ask for one other option, which would be?
If everyone thinks that a replacement meeting might be appropriate, what if it shifted a day in one
Yes.
direction or the other?
And I'm completely open to that too. If
Like
people,
a Tuesday or a Thursday instead of a Wednesday if you can't, I'll be here?
and I could put out like a poll or something too. Usually I just fall back on Wednesdays because I know that I know you all as Wednesday people, so I just figured that's the best for you guys. But I only have conflicts on Tuesdays generally where I wouldn't be able to go to them because of the Tuesday of the month. But by the end of this week, please do send me preference of meeting schedule, availability for Wednesdays, and we can go from there and explore adjacent days, I think, too. How does that sound for everyone?
Great.
Want that information back?
When do I want it?
When do you want the response?
By Friday of this week, yes. 2 days. Alrighty. Thank you, Pam, for putting that together. I think that is, I think it is helpful. I think that planning that kind of stuff can be difficult in general, right? So having some of these bumpers to help us get down the right path and be effective with our planning is the most important thing.
Transitions us into the draft budget review pretty nicely.
Yep, the most fun part of the meeting. Pam, do you have a way to view this on your phone or something? Okay. No, I just wanted to make sure that everyone's on the same page and. Yeah, please go for it. So, this is largely the same as last year. The way that this printed off is really annoying, so I'm terribly sorry for that because the Excel spreadsheet cut over 2 pages. If we look at our budget for last year, I want us to caution ourselves when we look at the budget from last year because we had a lot of issues with the budget from last year where we had our expenditures were exceeding our revenues, so the numbers are not going to be as tight as we want them to be. I have not made any substantial differences to this budget from the one last year. The biggest change that I had, which is now going to be changed up again, can you scroll down a little bit? Or you might need to actually, you just might have to go back on the website and look at it on the website, not in the downloaded PDF, or reload the page. I will say in the interim that I got the news, and you might have to refresh it one more time too. I got the news about some of these membership things getting covered after I made it, and I didn't have time to include it in here, so I think that that's going to be an alteration. We're still seeing the number of like 26 grand being shown, 26 grand, including the placeholder of $25,000 that we could pull over from the O'Connor Fund. And it's making the budget look much larger than it is. Happy to entertain questions. That's the right page to be on. So this is last year's budget, what we see on the screen right now, the 2025 revised budget, year-to-date expenses, and then the balance of the 2025. Again, I apologize, the Excel spreadsheet did not print off on one page. Then if you could scroll down one page, Heather, this is the proposed for this year. Pam, I can go over line by line if you'd like me to tell you what some of those things are. Do other folks have questions?
So sponsorships means gifts, or?
Yeah, I was not super, say it publicly, I was not jazzed about the sponsorship title. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up my actual Excel spreadsheet. Yeah, I think that was probably a vestige of something else when they created the special funds for us. When they made the new vessel for the O'Connor Fund, if you will, sponsorships to me is what we're looking at for gifts. Pam, do you have one line that you have a question about in particular and I can elucidate, or do you want me to do every line?
Because it's on 2 pages here.
Yeah. Yes. So the 26 grand line, the first, the topmost, the final one, you know, in that first kind of chunk there, is the total for the revenues that we'd be taking in. 25,000 of that is coming from the O'Connor Fund. The reason that we have like the 1345, so it's not just 25,000, it's 26,345 because there's $345 that I budgeted out for the memberships. So we had to have the wiggle room for that. And then there's 1,000 that get included in there too for operating fees and professional and contractual services. So and trust me, everyone try to bear with me here, I'm not an accountant, but you have to make these numbers balance out to equal 0. So if we're gonna have that much expenses, we have to balance it out in our revenues, which is why I put up the revenues that we were expecting to 26,345. We can certainly go over it again.
I was going to say, do we need to actually look at this?
It is the commission's prerogative. I mean,
Yeah, that's
we can
just
look at it at the
thought.
work plan session for sure,
Yeah.
obviously.
Because what we would hope to end up with, I think, is a much more specific accounting of what we need where, even if in some cases it's a guesstimation.
Yeah, how we had like the 400 figure for the awards expenses and things like that.
Yeah.
Is that all coming out of like operating, or?
and I can only say it to everyone so many times, I guess, like, this is not my forte, and I really need people to bear with me. So there's not a line for awards, so it's getting shoehorned in somewhere. If we want to make some kind of plan that maps to this, if we want to make a budget of our own, state of Michigan has very rigid accounting rules.
Right.
It has to fall back into this. So if we did want to make a essentially like a sub budget that we could map back on, I think that that'd be a very fine exercise for us to engage in.
Yeah.
I mean, you could break it down line by line if you want, but it'll never be that way in this system.
In this project,
Yes.
or in this product, yeah.
Yep.
I get that.
Again, not trying to be dismissive, because I think that that is a great plan. This is just the template that was given to me for what I wrote, and I'm now presenting. There's no action that needs to be had on this
I was just
this
going to ask
evening
that
either.
question.
No,
This is our starting point, and
it is, yes.
these are the account names.
This
and
is
numbers.
truly a draft. We just need to have the final done by October 27th. So,
Good. Thank you.
yes,
We'll
no,
sit down.
thank you. We don't need to, whatever people say, belabor this point much longer if we don't want to either, so.
Yeah, is there a coordinator's report?
I don't know what happened with this entire agenda this month. A couple of things to touch on. I don't know what state a lot of this is at publicly yet, but there will be a gravestone that's placed for the reinterred remains of the person that was the person that was exhumed at Pioneer Cemetery. I think that that's going to kind of get rolling this month. As I find out more details, I'll let you guys know. The other thing that I just wanted to highlight, I kind of already did, but it was great to get that recognition about the money that we're getting from the CLG on this building. If you guys have a chance, check out some of the other grants that were given to other communities across the state. They also deserve the shine that we're getting. They did get the same shine, but I think it's cool to be able to read through and look at that kind of stuff. Sure that people might have noticed that there was a car crash, and thankfully no one was hurt, in the 200 block of East Michigan, right at the corner of East Michigan and Edwards. One person was hurt with minor lacerations, but I think they got out of the hospital pretty quick. Shows, I guess, the fragility of many things, human life, and again, very glad that people were not hurt. It showed to me that the old buildings still stand the test of time, even when there's physical, it's met with physical damage. Work is underway right now to repair that building, and I think it's going to be handled very well. So, everyone's available to, you can go down and look at the building all you want to see what's going on down there. Can't say enough, though, that I'm just so pleased that there was no one that was hurt in that crash. I think those are all the big things. Oh, yeah, the Sexton's Lodge. Just still waiting to get estimates back from folks so we can have a good number for folks, for us to be able to look at. I know that we dismissed it last time because there was the round number that I gave of $5,000. So waiting to hear back from the team about what they think an estimate would be on that. I drive by it 2 times a week now, so I'm keeping my eyes on it too, and I'm sure that there's a police presence around it as well. Thank you for reminding me, Pam and Kyle, at the top of the meeting. To me, the biggest thing that I think probably is not that exciting to other folks is that we got all the signatures for the programmatic agreement. So the State Historic Preservation Officer sent me back the executed copy with his signature on it today as well. And then Scott Slager with SHPA was like, yeah, and now you need to file it with ACHP. I don't know if ACHP is watching this, but that is not fun. Doing the submissions, they just have you download this Microsoft Word document that you need to email back to them. Actually, I hope they are watching it, because it'd be great if we had a programmatic agreement portal instead of just an E106 portal, because programmatic agreements don't really map necessarily on top of a 106 application every time. There's a lot of questions that you can't ask me and expect me to answer. I think I might have pointed this out to them before, but if I didn't, I'm telling you guys now. So I'm awaiting their response because I sent it off to them, and then hopefully the programmatic agreement renewal and rewrite kind of saga, there could be other words that are used, but I'll refrain, is done for a while. The duration of this iteration of the programmatic agreement will be 10 years, so we don't have to even revisit this for 10 years. Previously, it was 5 years. For those wondering, and I think a lot of people wonder, sometimes I wonder, what is the programmatic agreement? It's what allows the Historic Preservation Coordinator in the City of Kalamazoo to be able to review the HUD 106 requests that come in. So those quarterly lists that I give you guys, what allows me to do that is the programmatic agreement. So I cannot express enough how much I think it helps the community to have that work done at the local level instead of having it get sent up to the state, because I think everyone has capacity issues, right? But me being able to handle it in-house, I think really facilitates a much smoother process, not trying to honk my own horn or whatever, but I think that not having just the time of communication between us and another department and another agency, right, cuts down on that, and it lets people get the work done on their houses that they need. So we've finished that all up, and I want to, thank everyone that helped out with that along the way, all the way throughout it. Kayla was very helpful in getting a lot of that stuff done. A lot of people in the city were really a big help in getting that done too. So hopefully we're drawing to an end of that chapter, and we're entering into the 10-year chapter of the programmatic agreement. Did you have a question?
No, just a comment. If every
It would certainly take a long time. And when you look at that, when you look at the work that's being done in those 106 reviews, this is where it's important to look at, I guess, the preservation stuff from a practical standpoint. A lot of this stuff is what we did with the O'Connor Funds gifts that we were given to CHW. It might not feel like preservation work, but it's making sure that folks can stay inside their homes, right? If you're too elderly to be able to and it is. It might not be the traditional preservation work that everyone envisions, but if you're too elderly to do something that we might think is minor, something like the amount of work that I see done on those, the breadth of them is so extraordinary. But it can come down to things like, I don't have a handrail, so I can't go into my basement anymore, and that can be debilitating for someone. So I think that stuff like that is important, even if it seems minute. So really glad that we have that programmatic agreement. Really so thankful for all the people that helped me with that. And I hope that we can continue the good work that we are doing through that programmatic agreement. And that is all that I have from my end.
For the Sexton Lodge, is there any chance we can talk about mural painters when you get to that point? We talked about it briefly last month. I know there's some mural groups and even school groups that do things like that. I think that'd be a really cool way to get the community involved in that cemetery and to make that not just blank plywood. So is that something we can have bookmarked to think about later?
So I'm going to put the onus on you as a commissioner,
Okay.
like to just continue a monthly report. Even if you don't have anything else, put it in the report just to let us know that you're thinking about it, and then it gets it on our radar. So I will not mince words. I will absolutely forget about that if I'm not reminded.
Okay.
I think it's certainly something that we can entertain. I don't know what the future holds for that project right now, right? But yes, I think that that's something that we can certainly entertain.
Is it appropriate to do some footwork on that?
I think that right now is probably premature.
Okay.
Coming into the season where I don't know what's going to happen really. Getting into the winter season, first of all, and I don't know what's going to happen immediately on it. So I wouldn't want you to start footwork and then let a group down if something changed in the interim.
Okay. Thank you.
But keeping it bookmarked is surely a great thing to do. And then, writing reports makes it part of the official record. And then we have the paper trail as well.
Okay, thank you.
It needs to be secured before winter.
I concur.
But line item in the cemetery subcommittee.
Yeah, I should have had a report for this month. I apologize. I
No,
was
completely fine.
I was in the Middle Ages. So, I was at a reenactment event, so
Gotcha. No, not a problem. Just so I don't forget stuff, it helps keep me accountable, and then it keeps the public apprised of what we're doing as well.
Thank you, Luis. Sort of transitioning into it already, but this is the commissioner comments portion. If anyone needs to say anything else.
I can put this in a report for next month, but I did want to say I went to the I can't think of the word now, the seminars that they had up in Allegan Cemetery, Oak Brook Cemetery. It was great. It was really different. We had a geologist talk to us about stones and what they're made out of. We had someone talk about the white bronze monuments, the metal ones. And a carver came out and actually did a carving demonstration and let us try our hand at stone carving, which was really great. And then we had a talk on a demonstration on lifting the stone. We didn't touch anything. And iconography. So it was really interesting. They do plan to do more events like that. This was free to the public. It could have been better attended, but it was really, I go to a lot of these kinds of things. This one was really unique and special. So that was pretty cool. And again, I'll put this in notes, but since this will happen before our next meeting, Gary's group is doing their living history tours on September 6th. It's costed $10. It's running from 1 to 5. And I will put an email out on our Grad Squad about that. But if you guys have an interest in seeing what they're doing in Mountain Home and some of the stories in there, it looks like a really great event.
Got a couple items. Stewart neighborhood is doing a historic homes tour. I don't know the details to it, but it's been advertised quite a bit of walking through some of the historic homes on October 4th and 5th. That's there in that neighborhood. And at our last Kalamazoo and Bloom Native American Mound, or garden project that we're looking at, Melissa presented about the Clio program and how that could be utilized like she did for the East Main campus at Western, and talked about the program and all. And it sounds like, listening to the chair of the committee, that they kind of want to go that direction of having whatever's produced on that committee be put in. Is it Clio or Clio?
Clio is, I think, how they pronounce it, yep.
Clio program that.
The free app that you can be guided through the existing and the pre-existing conditions.
Yeah, thank you, Fred. And if people go to stewartneighborhood.org, they have all the tour information on there. I do want to give kudos where they're due to the Stewart Historic Neighborhood Association, excuse me. This is something that they did all by themselves, which I thought was awesome. They did a lot of research. I think that it was, I was mostly in contact with Megan Campanile on this, but digging through the archives to find old tour pamphlets, it's really neat and it's really cool to see this. This is a sophisticated level of organization, in my opinion, from a neighborhood association. Is awesome. So kudos to the Stewart Neighborhood Association. I hope that goes well. I'm sure that I'll be at one of their tours. And it's just great to see something like this come back, because it was something that they were trying to revive. So I'm really pleased with the work that was done.
In the 90s, 80s and 90s, that was a really big tour from what you gather, looking at all the brochures and advertised on the radio and advertised by banners across Westonage and all locally, all around the area. They even involved Henderson Castle one year. And in the 90s, they were charging $20 a ticket. I think that's what they're charging now.
Yeah.
And it had a big turnout.
Yeah. It's awesome, like I said, and I can't give them enough props for what they're doing. So congratulations to the Stewart Historic Neighborhood Association, and I think that those are going to be great tours.
I was going to say I have an update on the status of Vandercook Hall. I was over there last week and a little bit today, I would say about 1/3 of the building remains. If you are looking at it standing on Oakland, it is the leftmost entrance area is still there currently. I don't know for how long. One thing that I thought was interesting is that they removed the plaque that was above the door of the remaining entrance where it said Vandercook Hall for Men on it. I don't know what they did with that, but it is very obviously missing from what is else left intact as of now. So just thought that was an interesting thing to note that was removed.
Thank you, Melissa. I drove by yesterday or 2 days ago and pretty much hit the nail right on the head with the description of it. So if you were coming down Oakland Hill, you wouldn't even really know that it was getting torn down unless you looked backwards, and then you'd see that only 1/3 remains. So.
We used to have other tours too. Yeah, and then I guess I would note, I saw Sharon disbanded her nonprofit, sort of sadly recently, but just something of note in the historic preservation community of Kalamazoo. Anything else this evening?